Hello, this is Peter with another video. Today I thought I'd have a look at a few of the citrus trees, the ones that are actually fruiting this year, which is not many of them, unfortunately. It's been a pretty poor year for the citrus, at least in my area. It's been incredibly cool this summer, barely reaching 20 degrees most of the time. So yeah, it's not been ideal for getting fruits to set on the citrus trees this year. So yeah, I'm not going to go in depth on every single tree I've got because there's too many citrus trees to do that with at this point. But I will feature a few specific ones which have interesting things to note, including fruit sets. So this first one here is a variegated orange. I'm not sure exactly what type it is. I'm thinking it might be a variegated Valencia orange, but I can't be 100% sure about that. Now this one I got earlier this year and has actually grown quite a bit. It's put out quite a lot of new growth. All this is new growth here, and over here as well. It's actually looking really healthy, which is kind of surprising because my variegated lemon isn't looking very good at all. I was worrying I might struggle to keep this happy, but I've got this one outside and it does seem okay here in this slightly sheltered spot. It doesn't get full sun most of the time because of the musabashi right here, which blocks most of the sunlight, but it does seem to do okay in this dappled shade. It did have a few fruits on when I got it. They have grown a little bit. I think this is the biggest one. There's a few smaller ones as well. There's at least half a dozen, probably a bit more actually, on the tree. Probably should thin this a little bit. Might thin it down to just maybe like 4 fruits, something like that. Even that probably would be too many for this to hold at this point. But I should certainly be removing these tiny ones, which have zero chance of making it to maturity, I would imagine. But overall, the tree is looking nice and healthy. So yeah, quite happy with the progress of that one so far. Next along we have the Arcobal, the double blood orange Maya lemon cross. This one I also got earlier in the year as well, and it did come with a few fruits on it which have barely grown at all. It's also dropped some leaves, so I think I'm going to have to bare root this one. It's in the typical heavy soil that they usually come in from Italy. So yeah, this is one of the least healthy ones I'm going to show today probably. Just move it out the way a little bit so you can see a bit better. To be fair, I don't think it's dropped too many leaves, but yeah, it's definitely looking a little bit bare. I certainly should remove these fruits. I don't think there's any chance I can get them to ripen anyway. I need to get this tree much healthier. Still trying to flower now. So yeah, I need to look at bare rooting this one, although it's not the best time of year to be doing it. So I might just leave it until spring actually. And I have done that before with citrus and they've made it through the winter. But yeah, it's not ideal. I've got a lot of navel oranges here. I don't think there's any fruits, so to speak, apart from these little tiny embryo fruits here and there, which probably have no chance of developing. Maybe 1 or 2 might hold on till next year, but yeah, they have flowered, most of these. I don't think these ones here have. This is one of the newest, I think it's Navelina. Yeah, this one's a Navelina. I don't think this one's flowered yet, but the lane lates definitely flowered at least a couple of months ago, I think. Over here I've got my finger lime. so I can get a better angle of it. So yeah, this is my little finger lime, which was covered in flowers earlier in the summer, and it has pushed out quite a lot of growth actually, which I'm quite pleased with, as it was very stunted last year. It didn't grow at all, but yeah, it does seem to have not been bothered by the cooler summer, and it is also putting out some new growth now as well down here. Now in terms of fruit set, it's not looking very promising. There's maybe one or two tiny fruits on, which are probably just some of the later flowers that opened. I think all the first ones that I thought might have held on have actually dropped off. I'm not entirely sure what the problem's been. I have a couple of ideas. I mean, it could be weather related. It could be the fact that this tree's not mature enough to hold a fruit yet. Definitely needs repotting. It's a bit small really. The other thing I'm thinking is my fertilising regime. That could also be causing issues with some of the citrus, because I'm going with a high nitrogen fertiliser, which a lot of people recommend. However, I think that's having an adverse effect on the fruit set. I think it's causing fruits to fail and drop off, and then it causes lots of new growth like this, which, I mean, growth is definitely a good thing, but you definitely want a balance of getting new growth and fruits. So I'm going to have to look a little bit more and research into the correct fertiliser to use. So although it does seem to be making the trees nice and healthy and growing vigorously, it's not producing many fruits. But that it could be something else entirely. It might not be the fertiliser I'm using, I'm not sure. So I will do some more research into that, and I'll definitely update everyone once I've figured out what's going on here. So over here we have the Ruby Clementine, or Rubino, that I got from Mobius earlier this year, and it's actually done really well. It's grown quite a bit. It hasn't flowered this year, but I'm hoping maybe it will next year. But yeah, I'm definitely pleased with the progress so far. It has been getting attacked by a few things. I've noticed it had a very heavy infestation of scale insects a few weeks ago, so I've removed all of the scale, and I sprayed it as well. I don't usually like resorting to spraying my plants, but I think it was necessary with this one. It was quite a bad infestation, and you can also see there's lots of little tiny snails as well. These little tiny snails that keep eating the leaves as well. That's another ongoing issue I have with my citrus trees here. Little baby slugs and snails. This one here is the Buddha's Hand Citron, and this one actually didn't do anything last year, but it has put out quite a lot of growth this year. You can see it's got lots of new growth coming on it here, on this side as well, and lower down, and it even has a few flowers as well. It did have one single flower earlier in the summer, I noticed, which was a huge flower. It got really big, but yeah, it just dropped off. It didn't set any fruit, but yeah, overall it's looking quite good now. This was I think it was considered a rescue, or a citrus that they were trying to practically give away, because it wasn't in, well, they considered it wasn't a good condition, but actually I thought it was not too bad really, and it has flushed out all this growth this year, so I'm quite pleased with the progress of it. Again, it's in a very small pot, could do with repotting. Back here I've got a clementine tree, which isn't actually looking too healthy, just realised. There is another tree in front of it. I've just moved this blood orange tree out of the way so I can see it. Now this has flowered pretty much on and off all summer. See, it's got some more flowers opening here. Okay, so this one's actually an Orogrande Clementine, one of my Orograndes. I've got another one planted in the ground, and I think there's one more as well. Yeah, you can see it's not looking particularly healthy. It's quite yellow. I have fed all the citrus trees this weekend. I've just been on, I think it was on Saturday. Yeah, I went round and fed all the citrus with a slow release fertiliser and liquid fertiliser as well. So I'm hoping this might help the colour of these leaves. But yeah, it's got lots of new flowers opening. It's also got lots of little fruitlets as well, in various sizes. Some are really tiny, some are a little bit bigger than peas, some of them even bigger than that, but they're not huge. We're only talking a couple of maybe half centimetre to a centimetre at the most. So yeah, none of these are going to hold on. All these little tiny ones will drop off. But there is this one here, which is quite comical really. It looks perfectly coloured and formed, it's just absolutely tiny. Now, I should probably cut this off rather than trying to pull it off. I'm just gonna, yeah, there we go. So this is one I think was on from last year that never fully developed. So I might just cut that open now while we're on the camera and see what it looks like inside. I can't believe it. I've just cut that fruit open and it looks perfect, except the size. Wow. It's perfectly juicy looking inside. But yeah, it's only about an inch across, 2.5 centimetres or so. Yeah, it's absolutely tiny. So I'll give it a quick taste and see what it's like. Actually, tastes fine. Yeah, tastes like a little clementine. Quite sweet, not the sweetest I've ever had. But yeah, fairly sweet and quite juicy. A little bit drier than I'd expect, but not bad. Not bad at all. But yeah, just absolutely tiny. 2.5, 3 centimetres in diameter. So yeah, we've got more clementine trees here. Also, not much fruit set on these either. A few tiny ones here and there. A few that are going to drop. Very pale looking. And then there's a few flowers also on this one. This one is a different variety. Yeah, this one's a Clemenules. This one here is also a Clemenules, so there's two Clemenules here. Another fruit which doesn't look as good, it's split. Not very well developed either. Next after that we've got another Clementine. This one has a slightly larger fruit on it. I think that's the only one. This is variety Hernandina. It's the only Hernandina Clementine I've got. And yeah, looks like it's just got one small fruit on it. The grapefruits are not looking very good this year. Very, very pale looking, this one. I only just realised how pale it actually looks. Again, I did feed them all, but I think the problem with these I've actually noticed they keep drying out the pots, even though it has been raining a fair bit this summer. The problem is we're not getting deep or heavy rains, we're getting very light sprinkle of kind of drizzly rain, if you like, which is very common in our climate anyway, but yeah, I don't think it's been enough to actually water all the plants, especially in these tiny pots that they're in. So I do still have to water them, and also I think the leaves probably stop some of the water getting into the pots as well. So yeah, these both are Rio Red. This one looks a bit healthier, and it's got a couple of tiny fruits which are barely developed. So I don't think we're going to get any fruit off that. I mean, they'll definitely take over a year to develop anyway if they're going to hold. This one, the other Rio Red, has a few larger ones, but they're very pale, so they're probably going to drop off. It does have a few more flower buds coming on it, but yeah, not expecting any grapefruits off any of my trees in the next year. That one looks a little bit bigger, but again, it's not a very healthy plant. I need this plant to grow a little bit more, but also it has got this damage on the stem here, which it had when I got the plant. I think something is affecting the bark. You can see it's just peeling off there. I'm not sure if it's a disease or a pest that's caused that, but I need to keep a close eye on it. I might need to apply some wound sealant or something to that. Don't think the lemon's got any fruits on it now. I think it's dropped. Yeah, it did have a lemon on there, but it's dropped off, unfortunately. So no Eureka Lemons this year. Now the Owari Satsuma has been a disappointment this year. It did flower quite heavily earlier in the summer when I had it in the greenhouse, and all the flowers went mouldy, dropped off. None of them set. I brought it out the greenhouse then, which I wish I'd done earlier now, because those flowers did start to set, but of course they're much further behind. This one here is not very big, but it's probably about half a centimetre or so across. Then we've got this one here, about the same kind of size. There's this one here, which looks a bit bigger, but I'm not 100% sure, but I think this one might have been one that held on from last winter and never changed colour, and it's not really developed anymore anyway. It's got more flowers on it now, which is kind of surprising, but yeah, I don't think we're going to get any Satsumas this year, unfortunately. Maybe if I can keep the greenhouse warm enough this winter, I might be able to get them to hold on and develop next year. But last year they all changed colour in late winter, early spring, and just dropped off. So yeah, don't think we're going to get any Satsumas this year. So over here we've got the Minneola Tangelo. I've moved it over here because it was right next to the shed before, and we had some issues when it was really windy. The wind blew the door of the shed onto it and ended up breaking two of the fruits off it. I was really annoyed because the fruits were bigger than this one here. They were smaller than this one, a little bit smaller than that, but there was two fairly good sized fruits which got broken off. Really frustrated with that. So yeah, I decided to move it over here away from the shed, where I'm not going to knock it over or bang it, or the wind's not going to blow it over or anything. It's easily here. So it had 4 fruits on it when I got it, and now it's only got 2. But this one is of reasonable size. It looks like slug or snail's been eating it though. I'd say it's almost the size of a small Clementine or Satsuma. But yeah, Tangelos of course get quite big, so it's going to take a while yet. It has been pushing out some new growth, so it does seem to be quite happy. I did also feed this one as well, along with all the others, so it does seem, at least so far, to be enjoying the location I've moved it to here and the feed I'm giving it. One last citrus I'm going to feature is my Sunrise Lime. This was one fruit I had on it when I got the plant, but I didn't notice it straight away. It was very green, so it blended in with the leaves, and it was a bit smaller. So yeah, this one, I'm not sure if it's nearly ripe. Might need anyone that's an expert in Sunrise Lime might be able to give me some tips on when these are ready. Still got a bit of green in it, but it is quite orange now, yellowy orange. It did flower, but I think all the flowers have dropped off and didn't set. So yeah, looks like I'm not going to get any more off it, apart from this one here. Again, I have been feeding it, but it doesn't look particularly happy at the minute. It's probably this mix it's in, it's not in the best mix. Again, it's that Italian concrete, as I like to call it. But it is still growing, pushing out some new growth. So yeah, that's just a look at all the citrus that are developing some fruits, or at least the ones I can see. Obviously I couldn't go into depth on every single tree, and there's plenty more that I haven't featured in this video, because there's no flowers or fruits or anything at the moment. Or they did flower and then non-set. But yeah, overall it's not been the best year for the citrus, as I mentioned. Got a lot more fruit set last year. But yeah, again, my trees are mostly very young, so it's going to take some time for them to come into fruiting as well. As I mentioned, I also need to have another look at the fertilising regime I'm going with, see if the fertiliser I'm using needs tweaking. I think it might be still a little bit high in nitrogen. But yeah, I'll do some more research into that, as I mentioned. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the notification bell so be notified when I release future updates on all my citrus trees, as well as all my other plants. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.